Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for a bench press session. And I am extremely happy with today's session. Possibly the best bench press session I've had in many years. Very, very happy with it. I already put up the short. Also, if you guys are watching this on Facebook, give me some stars. It would be appreciated. I got 4 reps with 335. I came in and thought, okay, I've done this for 3 before. I know I can do 4. And I got a nice pause on this 4th rep. And it was a little slow, but looking at that, had I taken a shorter pause and gone for a 5th rep, I could have probably done that same pause on the 5th rep. That puts my bench at least 380 right now. And I'm walking around at 225, 226. I can easily make weight anytime I want. That's an absurdly easy water cut. Meaning I wouldn't even have to cut carbs. To make a water cut that small for me, I just stop eating and drinking at 9 o'clock at night and walk in and weigh in. I'll be 2 pounds underweight. But I'm going to keep getting stronger here. And then the name of the game after that is hypertrophy. Keep working my weak points. And I feel like triceps are not my weak point on the bench right now. It really is just chest and front delts. And just, overall size and thickness. But we're going to keep working triceps because they were such a weak link. That's largely because I was only close grip benching. So we've been playing catch up here now that I have my shoulders healthy enough that I can do wider grip. I can do pinkies on the rings, which may not be my strongest position. I want to be clear there. This is the best position for building muscle. It may not be my best max. I might find my best max is out wider with a little bit bigger arch because I'm flat-footed, a very, very small arch, and I have long arms. But I'm trying to just get strong. And if I can just keep getting stronger, if I need to perfect that later and go a little wider and set up a bigger arch on my toes or whatever I need to do, I can. But, we're running a very, very clean technique there that no one will argue with the validity of it. Good pauses, flat-footed, modest arch, and with my long arms, it's a long range of motion. But I've got to just keep getting thicker. I do feel like triceps become a limiting factor for me on the rep work as I get further in, because sometimes I struggle to lock those last reps. So I am going to keep working work capacity on triceps, and I'm going to keep building triceps. But you guys can see I'm really focusing on a lot of pause benching, a lot of incline work. Rows, I'm doing rows off the floor. I'm doing a standard barbell row. Some people have commented they don't like my row style, but then when people see my back shirtless, they're like, Jesus Christ, your back is by far your biggest muscle group. So I don't know why people have an issue with it. It doesn't hurt. It carries over to my deadlift. I have an elite deadlift. Those rows carry over to my deadlift. So, get over it, guys. Get over it. And they're fairly clean. Just some people don't like the fast eccentric. But I get a better eccentric on the dumbbell rows. And the dumbbell rows are a little better hypertrophy movement. I feel like this is a better power movement, and it carries over to the deadlift really, really well the way that I do these. I feel like it is a factor of me pulling over 600 pounds. But I think that combination works really good. So I did that here for 3 sets afterwards. I need to increase weight though because I was getting 15s today. First set was way too easy with 10s. I went for 15s for the last 2 sets. I need to increase weight on the dumbbell rows. Incline. I did the first warm-up. I go over and I put 135 on and see how it feels, and that's where I kind of assess what I'm going to do for work sets. I knew I could rep 225 for 5s today, so I'm like, let me go ahead and go to 225. It's a little under the rep range I would like to be at, but if I can do it all paused, and I did, and they were a little tough, puts me in a good spot since I feel like the incline really carries over to my weakest link, which is I'm a little slow in the middle on the bench still. If I can get real strong at the rep work on the inclines, I've got that 405 bench. Actually, I feel like if I can do 225 for 10 on the incline, pause at that angle, right? That technique I'm using right here. If I can get this for a 10 rep set, I feel like I've got all my weak links for a 405 bench there. I just have to be thick enough and have the neural drive to push it. But you guys notice that first rep, sometimes I struggle to get in my groove. It misgrooves a little on me, and then it gets cleaner. And my incline's always been like that. It's just always been like that. But I've hit some decent maxes on it. But, again, I probably will never have a good 1-rep max on it because that first rep is always a little squirrely. But that's okay. It's not a contested lift. I do like it for conjugate for a lot of my lifters for max work. A lot of my guys, I like rep work on it. And I feel like, again, for people who stick at certain points in the bench, it's one of the best lifts we could be doing. It really is. And I wish all of my lifters could do it. Some of them can't. Like Michelle, if her shoulders would handle it, I feel like the incline would take her bench up to the next tier. And I may want to experiment with her in the future once she gets some stuff settled for doing that. I do feel like it would help her tremendously. But her shoulders couldn't take it. But she couldn't wide grip bench either. We now have that fixed. All right, these dumbbell rows, these were a little too light today. That's why I got 15s, and they started just getting really grindy, trying to get through that fatigue of 15. So I need to step the weight up on these again. Again, it's a little too much reps. It's not necessary for what I'm doing. Although I do like the grip carryover, and I feel like for me, grip and that upper back is really what's going to determine where my deadlift is. My deadlift is so strong right now. But I feel like upper body limits it a little, so all the rowing's going to be a big trick. But that incline right there, getting those pauses near the end. Especially that last rep, trying to pause it. You tell I'm struggling just a little through that lockout. Again, I feel like if I just have a little more tricep work capacity, we'll get that, which is why I'm finishing with the band work, to get through those lockouts. And then the elbow tendon health, because I'm doing Skullcrushers. And part of me wants to go back and mess with J-arm presses again, but I'm like, why? I'm having really good success. I'm doing the Skullcrushers. My elbows feel okay. Let's not mess with it. Right? Let's not mess with that. But again, as far as the deadlifting goes, I feel like combining these one-arm dumbbell rows, these really strict ones, with my barbell rows off the floor, as a combination is really building those weak links up for my deadlift. Plus, it's giving me a more stable bench. Okay? Think about it, the whole upper back, we know that all of that area builds a lot of bench stability. Plus, it's helping my grip strength, helping my forearms, helping my biceps, and those are all used as important stabilizers on the bench. Really, there's no muscle in the upper body that doesn't help the bench in some way. Yes, we know pecs, anterior delts, triceps are your primary movers, and triceps more so on a max. But every muscle in the upper body helps the bar path. It helps the stability. It can help with squish out of the bottom of a bench. It's one reason body weight matters so much, because guys who are fatter have squish, but you can do that with lean tissue too. So the Skullcrushers were too light with that first set. I needed to increase it another 10 pounds because I did 12 pretty easy. I'm like, I just need to get to my curls. So again, I'm doing power curls. I'll probably make a short and reel on this later as far as a little bit of what I'm doing here. But a lot of it, you guys will notice I'm leaning forward a little. Why? I'm reducing the chances of a bicep tear because we're still getting a lot of lengthened position load just due to the heavy eccentric rep because we're cheating just a little bit. But what I really like is the deadlift carryover because of the grip. That cheating and then catching it at the bottom forces you to squeeze that bar really hard. I feel like for grip training for the deadlift and then making your biceps a little more tear resistant on the deadlift, it's a really good exercise because we are getting some real eccentric overload. You just need to make sure that your arms aren't too far forward at that bottom in that lengthened position like they are on a preacher curl where guys tend to tear their biceps by cheating too much. So in this case, you go for the heaviest weight you can do with just a little bit of body English, and I need to increase this now because I got 12 on the last set. The idea here is, again, working the upper back and working the grip along with the biceps. It makes it a big multi-joint movement. And it does good on EMGs. It's in the top 3 consistently on EMGs or biceps. So we know it works them well, even though it's not a stricter movement. It's a great bicep builder, and a lot of bodybuilders really swore by it who had massive arms back in the day. They did with preacher curls too, but keeping in mind the tear risk on preacher curls. But it carries over to your deadlift. Again, the grip side of it's kind of a big deal. Like to do what I'm doing here to catch it at the bottom, with that leaned over with all these reps with a full plate per side, your grip has to be pretty on point with that straight bar. Because look at that grip position. You've got to really, really have a good grip. And you've got to keep those wrists trailed behind to keep the forearms from cramping, right? To make it a bicep exercise, but then it's harder to grip. So it's a great grip training tool, especially after doing all those rows. That's one reason I like it. I feel like it builds a lot of forearm and grip, in addition to being a really good bicep exercise, a really good upper trap exercise. And then I finished up with my band press downs, again, just for the work capacity on the lockout. And you get to where I can't even lock out. And I can't lock out anyways the way normal people won't, just not the way my joint works. But obviously these, it starts to get to where I can't at all. So I'm trying to build that work capacity there by doing that, because again, it's forcing it into that position, and the triceps get so fatigued trying to lock it that they can't, and then you have that overspeed eccentric. So it trains you to have work capacity and speed on the lockout. Again, so for people who have a lockout weakness, these are phenomenal. In this case, so I'm using it for work capacity for my rep work. So I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.